Manchester United have 1 foot in the final of the Europa League after beating Athletic Bilbao by 3-0 in the first leg of their semi-final. In this video, we're going to be breaking down how they did it. We're going to be taking a look at the tactics involved that helped Man United break down the best defence in Spain. This was by far and away the best performance that Manchester United have had under Ruben Amorim, and there's a number of reasons for that, a lot of them tactical, and the changes that Ruben Amorim has made to this side to get them to be a little bit more proactive, and the way that they try to break teams down. Athletic Club are the best defensive side in Spain, and there's a reason for that. The condensing of their space, the condensing of those lines, and the ability to really go and hunt in packs, really making sure that when you try to play through them, they're very difficult to break down. So what did United do so well? Well, it was the application of these fullbacks or wingbacks that United have that really started to make the difference for them. The positioning of Mazraoui and Dorgu, their original positioning, their natural positioning was much higher than you're normally seeing them. Instead of being part of a natural back five, being dropped back here and here, you saw them just begin their natural positioning so much higher at the pitch, and this had a really big knock-on effect for the way that United was to set out in the game. It meant that Athletic Club had a number of different problems to try to break down. Do they go and contest the space that Dorgu and Mazraoui are taking, or do they focus on the likes of Bruno Fernandes in the centre of the pitch, the likes of Alejandro Garnacho or Rasmus Højlund? They focused on protecting the centre of the pitch, but that gave a whole amount of space for Man United to start to play down the sides. It always gave an out towards Lindelof and to Lenny Yoro when they were trying to break through those progressive lines, and when Bilbao did want to go forwards to try to close down the spaces, there was always a pass available for a Manchester United player, especially down the wings, and once you start to progress down the wings, it really started to open up some channels for this United side. And you can see some early iterations of that right here. This is early on in the game against Athletic Club, and you can see the way that United are trying to build themselves out. So, United are currently in possession. Casemiro and Ugarte are next to each other. Ugarte has the ball currently. Look at this United setup though. You've got your back three. They're ready to be able to retain that possession and focus it round. You've got your two holding midfielders, but notice a really important thing. You've got Mazraoui on the right and Patrick Dorgu on the left. Notice how high they are. They're really taking that space. Bruno Fernandes has dropped into a more deep-lying position to help recover and facilitate and rotate possession around. But you've got really good aggressive position from Dorgu and from Mazraoui, and this pushes the Athletic Club side back, but it also enables Man United to really start to focus down these wide areas, and it's through these wide areas that they started to gain some space. But notice how narrow Bilbao are, notice how narrow Athletic Club are. They are really condensing this space, making sure that they're trying to progress, but in doing so they're leaving a load of space available for those Man United wingbacks. That space that could be exploited later on, and it gets exploited in a moment like this. So let's take stock of what we're looking at. Casemiro is on the ball currently, and you're looking at United progressing forwards. But already, what are you seeing? On this left-hand side, Patrick Dorgu is taking up a really aggressive high position in his left wing-back role. Bruno Fernandes has moved a little bit further forwards, and all of a sudden, you've got passing lanes. You've got passing options. You can pass to Bruno, you can pass over to Dorgu, you can even try to get it through to Rasmus Højlund, but as it progresses, it goes through to Dorgu. All of a sudden, you're dropping that Athletic Club line. They're forced to go backwards, and the moment you push them backwards, you're enabling your more creative space players a lot more space. So you've got Bruno Fernandes in acres of space here. He's going to play a 1-2 with Patrick Dorgu, but because of the amount of space that's been afforded to him, it gives Dorgu the ability to find that pass, lay it off. Bruno has the ability and quality and vision to play it back through, and all of a sudden you've got this United line really moving forwards, really taking that space and being aggressive. Notice the recovery runs from these Athletic Club players. They're trying to go backwards, they're trying to recover those positions, but also what have you got? On the far side, you've got Alejandro Garnacho who's made a movement from outside to in. You've got Rasmus Højlund, who's making a run as well. This is now a 2v2 situation, incredibly important. And now you're waiting for the cross from Dorgu. Can it be good? It is superb. And really, United should be scoring from this particular situation. But it's the progression down that left-hand side, the wide play, the really aggressive positioning from Dorgu, and the running from out to in from both the right-sided attacking midfielder and the striker to be able to get into those really good roles and those really good positions. And like I said, it should have ended up being a goal. Really, really good from them. A key component of this United side going forwards was the tactical change that Ruben Amorim made in midfield, and it focuses around the dynamic that Casemiro and Manuel Ugarte have in the middle of the pitch. Previously, when United would play, you'd look towards the likes of Casemiro and Ugarte, the two holding midfielders, to try and progress the ball forwards. But instead, United opted for something a little bit different, and it was the role of Ugarte that really started to change. The movement from him from being a sole centre midfielder next to Casemiro, moving forwards into a more aggressive position, meant that United were able to progress the lines a little bit easier. And it was because of the facilitated possession that was enabled by Casemiro being in this sole role. So you had Maguire, Yoro and Lindelof being almost as blockades, almost as buffers to be able to give Casemiro back possession. The moment that he had that possession, Ugarte was able to then move forwards, and all of a sudden you're causing a load of problems for this Athletic Club defence, because you're starting to overload the centre of the pitch. The moment that you get this position, these four players around these four, so you almost got a 4-on-4 in the centre, you've also got a problem with Mazraoui and Dorgu, really pulling the Athletic Club side out into these channels, into these areas. So it leaves a huge problem. Do you A, go and try and to contest, but that leaves space for the Man United attacking players, or do you B, try to condense the space and leave that space isolated out on those wings? It was a problem that really started to cause a load of issues for Athletic Club, but it did create a load of opportunities for Man United, and it was through this positioning of Manuel Ugarte that gave Man United that overload in the centre of the park, and it was that overload that allowed them to progress the ball forwards. It was then through Casemiro playing this line-breaking pass into Ugarte that started to get everything going, and all of a sudden Manchester United look like a far more attacking outlet. And it was through this that Manchester United get their third goal, again against Athletic Club, the best defensive side in Spain. And you can see that right here. The two banks of four being really close-knit together, really closing down that space and being really narrow. Now, of course, we need to remember that they had one less player because one man got sent off, but I still think that Manchester United would need to deal with the condensing of space that the Athletic Club offered here. And they did that through a number of different avenues. We've spoken about them in this video. You've got the real aggressive positioning of Patrick Dorgu and Mazraoui, spreading the Athletic Club defence, forcing them to have a decision to make. Do you go out wide to try and pressure those wingbacks, or do you stay nice and compact? So United posed an extra problem in moving the likes of Ugarte into this more central role. You're asking for an overload to happen, and it was this positioning with Højlund, with Bruno Fernandes, with Ugarte and Alejandro Garnacho that gave a number of different problems for Athletic Club. All of a sudden you have an extra pass to play, all of a sudden you have an extra man, and if you see here, it's essentially a 4v2 in this particular scenario with the 4 United players and the 2 Athletic Club centre-backs. Again, the 2 wings being occupied by Dorgu and by Mazraoui is forcing those Athletic Club right back and left backs, the full backs, to then start to creep outside. And all of a sudden, you've got a big numerical disadvantage in the centre of the park. So as we play this on, you've got Casemiro, who had a sensational game as that main pivot, receiving the ball from the 3 centre-backs who give a good protection for that counter-attack. You've got him being able to play the pass into Manuel Ugarte, into Bruno Fernandes, or into Alejandro Garnacho. Again, the flexibility of passing is really key, or he could go out wide. There are so many different avenues and options for Casemiro to have, and that's what makes this Manchester United side right now in this game so very potent and so very dangerous. As we move this on, we can see that Ugarte picks up the ball, but then it's what happens afterwards. A lot of things happen in a short period of time here. Bruno Fernandes gets activated in this scenario and then wins the ball. It then goes over over towards Rasmus Højlund, who does a good job of shielding for his teammates. It's then a matter of how do they get it out of this situation. Bruno Fernandes sees this situation and then moves forwards. Again, trying to break that Athletic Club line, trying to break through past that defensive unit. As you've got that run being made, you've also got Manuel Ugarte on the ball here currently. A really good back heel. Again, overloading the situation. Look at the amount of players in the centre of the pitch and look at the amount of space that's being afforded to the rest of these Man United players. Alejandro Garnacho, you've got Mashraoui out on this far side. Patrick Dorgu is in acres of space as well. But while this is happening, you've got a really good back heel from Manuel Ugarte right here, and that plays Bruno Fernandes in. And then you're looking for a 1v1 between Bruno Fernandes and the Athletic Club keeper. You're backing Bruno Fernandes in this particular scenario, and it puts Manchester United 3-0 up. It truly was a sensational performance from all of them, including the main captain himself, Bruno Fernandes. But it was a brilliant tactical display from Ruben Amorim and this Manchester United side. Now it comes a question of whether they can go to Old Trafford and get the job completed. But of course, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below on this fantastic Man United performance and how you think they're going to fare in the Europa League. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.